You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
We now wander off the beaten path with an update from the Reefer Reporter.
Hello and welcome to the Reefer Reporters with News Hawks Rev Kelly and myself, L. Graham. It's September the 19th, 2022, and we are live here on the Legacy420.com news desk. I get that. Here on the Pace Radio Network. Well, Kelly, how are you today?
I know, I feel like I haven't seen you in like 3,000 years, but it's only been 2 weeks.
Has it been 2 weeks? I was going to say 3 weeks.
Has it been 3? It's probably been a long time. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. Nice to see you, my friend. Happy Monday to you.
Yeah, happy Monday to you too. We get a mixture of cloud and sunshine here today, just so you know.
We're on the cusp of the autumn equinox. It's happening tomorrow, 20 to 21. We change seasons. Bye-bye, summer.
Bye-bye, summer.
Bye-bye, summer.
Hello, fall.
Hello, fall. Yeah.
The season of color and no bugs when you go walking on the trails.
Yeah. And also the season of harvest. Our plants are coming up soon.
Next month.
How are your plants?
Yes. October is Croptober or
Croptober.
Podtober, however you want to look at it.
Yep.
So,
excited for that. So there's good things, even though we're losing our green grass and our hot summer days, we're getting our harvest and our beautiful colors.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Look forward to that. And talking about one more thing before we get into the news, Cindy was in town.
We met Reverend Cindy. I had never met Reverend Cindy before. Had you met her before in real life?
I've never met her in person. No,
she got in her car and she drove all the way from Nova Scotia to Ontario to see all of the people that love her.
She come and she visited. She went to your place and did some puff paint.
That's right, paint and puff. Yeah, it was so. When she came in, I saw her and I was far away. I just went like this, Reverend Cindy, and I ran up to her, and I think I probably scared her a little bit because I was so happy to see her. Yeah. She's such a force, and she's taller than I thought she would be in real life, so she actually looks like a force.
I was one of the first things I said to her. Yeah. I gave her a hug. I said, when she left, I said, "Wow, you're taller than I thought you were."
Blessings to Reverend Cindy. We're so lucky and fortunate to know her.
Yeah, no, she's on the way home, heading back now. She left this morning. She did a lot of touring, got to see a lot of people while she was here.
Yeah, she saw everybody.
Rob and Gary, the guys at Mend. She was out touring with Craig.
Yeah.
She got to go down to our sponsor, Legacy 420, when she was here.
So cool.
And a bunch of other stuff.
So nice.
She'll fill everybody in. When she's on Thursday.
She made room for all of us. So blessings to Reverend Cindy for that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, you ready to get into the news?
Whew, so much stuff today.
Oh, I know. Exactly. And our mushy moment is a little different today than normal.
It's a good
one. We'll get there when we get there.
Right.
But first, we're going to start off with Quebec ban on homegrown cannabis plants unconstitutional. Lawyer tells Supreme Court.
Oh my. In front of a packed courtroom in Quebec City, the Supreme Court of Canada heard arguments Thursday on the constitutionality of Quebec law that forbids people from growing cannabis plants for personal use.
Yannick Murray Hall is challenging the ban on grounds that is unconstitutional and that directly contradicts the Federal Cannabis Act. Passed in 2018, the federal law makes it legal for Canadians to grow, 4 plants. And he says, we seem to be putting aside the existence of this right to grow. Murray Hall's lawyer, Maxime Biron, told the 9 Supreme Court justices.
Absolutely, saying there's an opposition between the federal position and the provincial position. Guerin argued that the Quebec ban goes against the federal government's objective to decriminalize cannabis consumption at home.
He said the province of Quebec was trying to stigmatize the consumption and possession of the substance. He also claimed the provincial regulations on cannabis are forcing people to go to the black market because the government agency that operates cannabis stores in the province doesn't sell certain products that are legal under the federal law,
That's
like
right.
a lot of
That's right.
edibles, for
That's
example.
right. That's right. And saying the lawyer
Yeah.
fielded dozens of questions from the justices who asked him to clarify his claims that the provincial law clashed with the criminal code.
Yeah. The lawyer arguing on behalf of the Attorney General of Quebec, Patricia Blair, told the court that the criminal code is meant to prohibit certain actions and does not give people positive rights. That means the Cannabis Act does not entitle people to grow their own plants. It just makes it not illegal to do so.
My goodness. Controlling how cannabis is regulated and consumed is a provincial matter, she says. Blair also vigorously denied Guerin's claim that the provincial and federal laws clash in their objective. On the contrary, they complement each other, she said.
Well, she tells the judge that the Quebec ban was meant to protect the health of consumers by making sure they can only get cannabis from a safe and regulated source, and to protect young people, which, according to her, is the same objective as the federal law. Is she saying that cannabis grown at home isn't a safe and reliable source?
I don't know. I'm confused by her because she's saying one thing and it seems like she's almost contradicting what she's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blaise saying it's the most beautiful manifestation of cooperative federalism that we can see. The case made its way to the Supreme Court after Quebec's Court of Appeal unanimously ruled in favor of the province in September 2021 on the grounds that the provinces have jurisdiction over property and civil rights and can make laws that are local or private in nature, also draconian.
Yes.
Come on, guys. What the heck?
An earlier ruling by the Quebec Supreme Court sided with Mary Hall in 2019. The Supreme Court's decision could affect cannabis laws in other provinces, as Manitoba also banned growing and possessing cannabis plants for personal use. And then that would maybe make some other provinces say, hey, well, if they can do it, then we can do it.
Right. It just seems so strange. Manitoba, like we're on our neighbors on either side of us, or you can't even allowed to grow your own plants. It's so
I
silly.
know. Exactly.
Hopefully something will change here. It's draconian. Now, the case also raises important legal questions, such as whether provincial and federal laws are compatible with one another and whether one prevails.
Yeah. We have significant overall concerns about the implications of this case, says Robert Cunningham, a lawyer for the Canadian Cancer Society, who is an intervener in this case. Cunningham says, depending on how the judgment is worded, it could also affect provincial laws that deal with other substances.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing something like that going on down in the U.S.
Yep.
No?
Lots of changes happening there.
Yeah.
Now, he says, what is the impact on the other health laws dealing with tobacco, alcohol, and many other areas? Of course, right?
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Ontario, Manitoba, Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia are all interveners in this case. So
Right. Nice to know that the Canadian Cancer Society is getting involved. Nice to hear that. They're one of the interveners.
I guess it depends on how they're coming in as.
I was hoping they were coming in and supportive.
Well, you're hoping on that.
Oh no, is that not right?
Well,
I was thinking as soon as they were coming in, maybe they're supporting our plants at home. Oh, I hope that's the case.
Yeah, who knows? It's smoking. I just can't see the Cancer Society being in favor of something that involves smoking.
No, but maybe growing the cannabis, right? So that's what they're
maybe.
saying. You cannot get proper edibles in Quebec. You cannot get that for
No, you
have to make your own.
You got 4 edibles in Quebec.
What were they? They were like healthy ones or something. And I was like, "Ooh, that sounds yummy." And you're like, "What?"
Yes, exactly.
I know you can't have anything.
There's a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of things that they can't purchase that we can in the rest of the country.
Well, so then you have to grow your own plants so that you can make your own edibles at the dosage that you need, and hopefully these medical patients
to do so.
I know.
That's what they say. Yeah.
We'll follow that story for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, on to our next story. And this headline says, Ottawa has lost control of $150 million program for reimbursing veterans cannabis according to an audit. This is on the
What?
CBC.
Oh boy. It's an internal audit by Veterans Affairs Canada, and it's suggesting that the federal government has all but lost control as it shells out hundreds of millions of dollars for veterans' medical cannabis each year without proper oversight, direction, or evidence of health benefits.
Yeah. Quietly published this week, the audit's results come amid an explosion in the number of veterans seeking reimbursement for the medical cannabis, from about 100 patients in 2014 to more than 18,000 last year, with no end to the surge in sight.
Look at that number. I just got goosebumps
I
thinking about that. That's less than 10
Yeah,
years.
yeah, and you know what? In Marmara, they
Yeah.
say that at their Legion, no
Yeah.
cannabis is allowed on the property.
They say that? Oh my
There's a
good
sign.
golly
There's a
goodness. You can't
sign
even
right
bring
there
it.
on the property. No can. And I'm thinking, you have all these veterans,
Wow.
and you're
Wow.
telling them that they can't bring their cannabis onto the property to maybe go outside and smoke it outside, out back, where the horseshoes are, where the other cigarette, where the cigarette
Yeah.
smoke is
You could
still,
bring
like,
big cigarettes there, but not cannabis?
no,
Oh
no,
my good golly
yeah,
goodness. That's not fair.
yeah,
Not fair at all.
yeah.
As a result, Veterans Affairs has spent more than $150 million on medical cannabis last year, more than on all other prescription drugs combined. And that number is expected to grow 200 million this year, 300 million by 2025-26. Oh my
Right.
goodness.
I wonder if there's been a report on how much money that they may have saved because veterans haven't had to take certain medications. Kelly?
I wonder what's
Yeah,
happened with that.
yeah. I wonder, because
Where's
obviously
that?
there's a
Where's that
saving.
report?
Yeah, there's a savings. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yet even as demand has grown exponentially, auditors found a continuing paucity of research about the medical benefits and risks of veterans using cannabis, especially those struggling psychological trauma.
Of course, of course. This has coincided with a lack of direction and control over who can get medical cannabis, what conditions that it is being prescribed for, and how veterans are getting authorization for their cannabis for medical purposes.
The VAC has taken steps to optimize its policy to provide veterans with access to reimbursements for their CMP treatment, the audit reads. However, there remain serious gaps in internal controls in the areas of veteran health and program management.
Veterans Affairs started reimbursing small number of former military personnel for their medical cannabis in 2008, at which point the approvals were granted on extremely limited basis and with the approval of a medical specialist.
Yeah. Now move forward the series of court decisions more than 20 years ago that first allowed a legal exemption, which is the Terry Parker decisions. Then in 2014, Health Canada relaxed its rules on who could authorize the use of medical cannabis and what conditions and circumstances. They said that change resulted in an explosion of claims and costs, despite the Liberal government's decision in 2016 to limit claims to 3 grams per day at $8.50 per gram, with an allowance of up to 10 grams per day with a medical authorization.
Wow. Now, auditors noted that the limited research information available suggests that individuals could use less than 3 grams of cannabis per day and have regular follow-ups with their healthcare providers. Health Canada and the College of Family Physicians of Canada has also warned about the potential negative impact of cannabis use by individuals suffering from mental health conditions, particularly post-traumatic stress disorder, saying negative.
Yeah.
Negative.
I was waiting for you to finish that. Exactly. And like we're seeing all these reports coming out with veterans who involves cannabis for the PTSD.
Wow. Let's just scare them now. Let's just make them feel even worse. Terrible. That's terrible. Negative impact. Cannabis has blessed impact on people with PTSD. I'm one that suffers from that complex PTSD, which I use cannabis to help me with.
Yeah, it just says that's that line when I read
Shocking.
that, I thought, what?
Shocking. Well, let's correct that right now.
Yes, yeah,
No way.
really. Yeah, it says here that But the audit report says that Veteran Affairs has not provided any directions or restrictions on what kinds of health conditions are eligible for reimbursement of medical cannabis. Virtually any medical condition is eligible. That includes PTSD, which the auditors found was a diagnosis with the vast majority of veterans who have been reimbursed for medical cannabis.
Of course. Of course.
Of course, because
Can't
it's
imagine
working
what they've
for them.
seen. Of course. At the same time, nearly 80% of authorizations were for 3 grams of cannabis or more per day, while authorization letters from specialists for many veterans also show very little sign of a strong physician-patient relationship.
Follow-up recommendations are vague. We're using wording such as follow-up in 6 months or as clinically required, the report says. Just over half of the specialist letters we reviewed did not mention anything about follow-up.
Wow, let's just give them something and then send them away. And just give them a Band-Aid and just hope they do well. And then we'll take away their Band-Aid or only get them half a Band-Aid. It's so sad. That wasn't the only thing missing. Roughly 1/3 of files reviewed by the auditors did not have any record of which healthcare provider had actually authorized the veteran to receive medical cannabis. And many files were missing other data. Somebody needs to get this SHIT organized, Al. My goodness, these are veterans. They're the people that fought for our country. Come on.
We will get to the answer of why very shortly. Yeah, one of the auditor's trouble findings was 11 healthcare providers were responsible for authorizing nearly 40% of the requests for medical cannabis. One had signed off on nearly 1,300 such requests. They say there is a small number of CMP physicians authorizers with very large veteran patient loads, bringing into question the robustness of the medical oversight, according to the report.
Okay, so with limited guidance available on authorizing CMP, there is a risk that some healthcare practitioners may be overprescribing the treatment, according to the statement. Now, despite these red flags and the potential risk to veterans and taxpayers, auditors found the vast majority of requests for reimbursement were approved as the department focused on ensuring access rather than monitoring and control.
Yes. Now, here's the answer. Here's the answer to the problem. Auditors suggested the problem is a result of the department focusing too much on setting up the reimbursement process and ensuring access. And I go, what do you mean? So then this last line, it says, they noted that the entire program is being managed by the equivalent of 3.5 staff members.
What?
Now, they're going on and complaining about all this stuff missing, but they've only got 3.5 people working there.
Yeah. For how many thousands did we say? Like thousands and thousands of people that were oh my goodness.
Yeah,
So they need a team.
They need a team, like 3.5. Does that mean that sometimes there's only 2 people in the office involved, and then sometimes there's 4 people?
Yeah,
maybe sometimes there's only 1 person there, and then another time there's 4. But
so they're cutting corners.
I look at it as it's understaffed.
Yeah.
If they want all these answers.
Okay. Well, we need to fix this. Fix this. Yeah. Whoever's listening, fix this.
Fix this. Yeah,
fix this
exactly.
Situation. These are veterans.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we'll finish that off, and we'll just go on to the next story. It's not right. They have to obviously get some help in there.
Yeah, for sure.
So that the veterans
funding and help and focus on these guys.
Obviously, with all those veterans, 18,000 that are on the program.
Yeah.
It's working. There's benefits there.
Yeah. I'm sad they can't consume it at your Legion. I wonder if that's all Legions. You can't consume it on any of the properties.
It's up to the Legion. It's up to the Legion. Yeah, okay. I went looking.
Yeah, I'd like to know. Interesting.
Yeah, individual branches. That was around the same time that they opted out. Right? But now there's municipal elections going on, so I know some of the people that are running are in favor of the stores. So
isn't the dude of cannabis running? Isn't the dude of cannabis running for that election?
Yeah. Lonnie, he's running for council. So
he has my vote. If I could wear a button that says "Vote for Lonnie," vote for the dude of cannabis, I would.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. On to the next story. This one comes to us from StratCan. It says that Stats Canada releases new report on cannabis cultivation at home. I was worried about this, I'll tell you.
Okay. Men in Atlantic Canada are the most likely to grow cannabis at home. That's according to this article. They released new data, Stats Canada did, on home cultivation that looks at its impact on Canada before and after legalization.
Yeah, the research shows that those most likely to grow their own cannabis at home remain relatively unchanged since legalization, with some demographics showing a slight increase or decrease. Those most likely to do so are male, 33 or 35 to 55 years of age, and living in Atlantic Canada. I'm not surprised. Followed by British Columbia and Ontario. Reported home cultivation was the least common in the prairies. Home cultivation is not allowed in Manitoba and Quebec, and both provinces are facing court action. I'm not surprised about Atlantic Canada because they are the highest consumers of cannabis
I
per
love
capita.
it. I love it. I love it. Now, although men were more likely to cultivate cannabis at home, the number of women who reported doing so increased since legalization. The number of Canadian men over the age of 55 who reported growing their own cannabis at home also actually declined in legalization. Uh-oh.
No, maybe they're
Where'd they
finding
all
it easier to
go?
go. Maybe they found it easier to go to the store.
Maybe.
Maybe. Home cultivators are more likely to consume cannabis for medical or a combination of medical and non-medical reasons on a daily or mostly daily basis and report smoking as their primary consumption method.
Now, previously available data from 2019 shows that nearly 10% of Canadians who use cannabis either grow it themselves or have someone else grow it for them, which would include those within the medical cannabis program in Canada.
Yeah, the designated growers, which I
Yeah.
see in Winnipeg, designated growers now need to do it in retail in industrial zones and have to have a specific, a special license from the
Yes.
province to do so.
Right.
Not whack.
And a magical genie. Like,
That's
here's all
right.
your requirements. Yeah.
Yes.
Toasty
More
man.
specifically, the recent data covered in the research shows that approximately 5.2% of the people who use cannabis reported growing it at home post legalization. This is somewhat higher than those who reported doing so pre legalization.
Now, although the researchers behind the report are not certain why Atlantic Canada saw higher rates of home cultivation, they speculate that a lower amount of legal cannabis stores in the region could be a determining factor compared to other provinces that allow home cultivation.
Yeah, well, it's that convenience. Go to
Yeah.
the store versus
Yep.
growing it, right?
Yep, for sure.
Home cultivation was also correlated with workplace use of cannabis, not cannabis impaired driving. Interesting, the report also notes that a recent study found that home cultivation laws are associated with reductions in workplace fatalities. A reduction.
Interesting. What an
Yeah.
interesting statement. I like that. Now, the study itself is based on 7 waves of the National Cannabis Survey. It's dating from 2018 to 2019, and descriptive statistics were used to analyze home cultivation across several individual and socio-demographic characteristics pre and post legalization. That data was then examined to see if home cultivation is correlated to selected cannabis related risks.
While the research found that home cultivation is associated with workplace use, they also note that this might not necessarily translate to greater risk of harm, arguing that it is possible that cannabis is being used medicinally by workers who are using low THC products.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. The report
And
concludes
yeah,
that the future research is needed to examine how and why home growers are at an increased risk of using cannabis in the workplace.
interesting. That's
Yeah,
very
why?
interesting. The impact of home cannabis cultivation is also part of Health Canada's mandated 3-year review. I'm laughing at this, Al, of the Cannabis Act, which was because it was due October 2021. The federal agency has not yet released this review, but it's expected to later this month. Where is it? Where is the
Where is it?
review?
Yeah, exactly. That means that we should be reporting on that very shortly then.
We've been waiting for it for a while.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
My
Yeah, we've been
goodness.
waiting for that. I was really worried that home cultivation report was going to be something that was going to end up like during those court cases
Yeah.
with the patients that they were using the description of an illegal grow operation that had bashed holes in the floors and walls and
Mm.
moldy as
Mm.
being almost like a typical patient's garden.
Right.
And the judge ended up
Yeah.
scolding them
Good.
for that, because
Good.
it's not
No.
right.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Absolutely
All right. On to our next story from MJ Biz Daily.
not. Oh,
Cannabis retailer Fire and Flower reports $21.6 million loss for the quarter. That's Canadian dollars.
you guys.
Holy
Oh,
smokes.
I know. 21.6 million Canadian dollars. It's plunging sales for the quarter that ended July 30th of this year. Revenue of $40.7 million for the quarter of 6% for the quarter was 6% lower than the same period 1 year ago, even though the overhaul of the industry sales grew substantially over the same period. These guys went down.
Yeah. The results were below expectations of analysts who attributed the weaker than expected performance to a reduction in store count. The company had 101 operational stores in the previous quarter, but that number fell to 92 after the closing of underperforming locations, according to a report by the Alberta headquartered company.
Fire and Flower remains focused on the transformation of our business and strategic opportunities with the goal to deliver positive adjusted EBITDA and free cash flow. That comes from CEO Stefan Trudel.
He noted that the Toronto headquartered company is focused on near-term initiatives such as membership pricing program, and says that our member pricing program has generated success by getting customers back in our stores, and we will look to maximize the margin opportunities from all programs, focusing on driving gross profit dollars. Ooh.
I know. Fire and Flower's retail revenue fell 5% year over year to $30.4 million in the second quarter. A bright spot, however, is retail revenue increasing 2.7% quarter over quarter, despite the reduction of 9 retail stores. There's a lot that are closing. I'm hearing about stores closing nationwide almost weekly.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Stores are closing, and it's gonna take some time wherever there's if it's a free market and people are being able to open up stores. Eventually they may find that there's just too many.
Yes.
And they're closing. There's maybe they put it in the wrong market, wrong area.
Maybe, right?
Yeah,
They should go to the
exactly.
cottage country. That's where I find some of these neat little shops. I want the mom and pop shops, the one-offs or the 1 and 2 to keep up. It's okay that these big conglomerate are losing their stores. I want you know what I mean? Sometimes you go into just a retail shop that's owned by one person or one owner, or, a mom and pop shop. And those are always the ones that are like, we fought so hard and now we've got our shop. And it's just nice to see that it's the big guy that's losing a little bit and not so much. And that's what I'm seeing too.
I guess it's sort of like saying, the success of the craft end of things. Right?
Yeah, that's also really cool to see.
Company looking forward to maybe the smaller stores, the smaller entrepreneur to succeed with their business.
Nice to see.
All right, last story before we go to break, and this one is pretty local to me. And that is because the OPP seized over $1.5 million of illicit cannabis in Madoc, which is just down the road from where I live.
It's a small little borough or like cottage country place as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. After executing a warrant in Madoc, Ontario, the Central Hastings Detachment of the OPP, along with the Provincial Joint Forces Cannabis Enforcement Team, Community Street Crime Unit, and the Emergency Response Team seized about $1.7 million worth of illicit cannabis, according to their prices, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And I question their pricing. The OPP announced the seizure in the press release on Friday, September the 16th. In the Cannabis Act, illicit cannabis means cannabis that is or was sold, produced, or distributed by a person prohibited from doing so under this act or any provincial act, or that was imported by a person prohibited from doing so under this act.
Right. So it was Thursday that they executed a warrant on St. Lawrence Street in Madoc, according to the release. They seized over 1,700 cannabis plants, 1.4 kilograms of dried cannabis bud, and a Markham man was charged.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been charged with a few different charges there, and he goes to court on October the 17th.
Oh, I know that date.
I know
That's the
that
date that we
date.
became legal.
That's exactly. Exactly.
Oh, wonderful. That's the
Yes,
date that we opened up Kelly's Green Lounge.
it
October
is.
17th, 1 year after
Yeah,
legalization.
yeah,
So the date I'll always remember.
and we can't forget about the fact that St. Fatty's Day
Right.
is
Yes.
October 17th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. All right. Well, break time. Off we go.
Yes.
Yeah, RevKed, and I'll be right back. You're watching the Reefer Reporters. We're live here on our Facebook, Twitter, and on our YouTube channel. Or maybe you're catching us afterwards at paceradio.net. Oh, I got to get the other screen. I changed the screen. I'm reading a comment. I'll get to it after the break.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Growing your own cannabis is easier than you think. Whether you're growing for recreational or medical purposes, BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. From the standard 4-plant recreational systems to the latest cutting-edge hydroponic equipment, BMA can customize your package and do it at discount prices. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and ask us for a free estimate. Or call 613-967-9888 and we will give you an estimate over the phone.
The only way to go.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to savethevcbc@gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hey, we're back and ready to bring you more cannabis stories as well. So don't forget, we've got our Mushie moment coming up, which is on a subject that I haven't talked about in years.
Okay, cool. Okay, good. I'm excited. It's a good one.
All right. Just so you know, the comment, I don't know who it's from. It just says Facebook user.
Yeah.
They were talking about the Cannabis Act and Health Canada and stuff like that, and they're upset at the way things went with legalization, and they said that it needs a fix.
Yes.
Repeal is the fix.
That's repeal.
Yeah,
I love that you said that. That's a great word.
Laws.
Target word, hot word. They mentioned Eddie Haskell in the comment, and I was like, Eddie Haskell, isn't that fella from the Leave It to Beaver show, for
Correct,
like
yeah.
black and white show from the. So,
Yeah, that's
maybe this person used to watch Leave It to Beaver, or certainly in the reruns, maybe.
yeah. I know I did.
Yeah, I was like, Alaska, where do I know that name from?
Yeah,
That's
it's
cute.
where it's from. Yeah. Alrighty, here you go. Our next story. Exclusive interview. Vic Mensa launches Chicago's first black weed brand, 93 Boyz, and gives away $10,000 in free gas.
Wow. Giving back is a way of life for Victor Kwesi Mensa. You may know him as Vic Mensa, the seasoned Chicago-based rapper, producer, MC, activist, and visual artist.
Chicago natives recently saw his first hand when the rapper gifted free gas to 200 cars, literally gas and figurative gas too. Over the Labor Day weekend, Mensa returned to his old stomping grounds at a BP station in the south side of Chicago at 47th and Woodlawn Avenue. He donated a generous $10,000 to fill 200 cars with gas, and everyone was given a dank parting gift from him.
Now, the donation was hosted by his new weed company, 93 Boyz. It's the first Black-owned and Black-led cannabis brand in Illinois. Stretching genres far and wide, the adventurous hip-hop artist recently announced his first endeavor into the legal cannabis industry.
Yeah, the gas. That's I'm hope that a lot of people benefited from that. 93 Boyz is an equity-focused cannabis brand. Its mission is to give back to the underserved and most impacted communities while satisfying consumers' needs with the headiest products in Illinois.
Very good. Now, cannabis aside, Mensa has been hard at work gearing up to release his second full-length studio album, which drops this October. So, isn't that wonderful? He's an entrepreneur. He's associated with the Grammy Award winners, and now he's got a cannabis brand.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does.
Beautiful.
It says here that the NPO, I'm not quite sure, NPO, works to provide books to Illinois prison libraries, ensuring that the inmates have access to resources that could change their time in prison for the better. If he's involved in that, that's great stuff.
Beautiful. Brilliant. It's a quote here saying, "Selling weed was my first hustle. It taught me work ethic, entrepreneurship, and funded all of my first music projects." Wow.
There you go. The brand's mission is to reinvest in those communities and individuals while lifting them up from the headiest product in Illinois.
Beautiful.
So
he even talks
he's,
about his anxiety and depression using cannabis for that. Wow.
Yeah.
I like this
Yep.
guy.
And now he's turning around, giving back to the community.
Yep. Brilliant. Thank you,
So,
Vic Mensa.
which is always good when you give back to the community like that.
Always.
So, alrighty. On to our next story. This one's from the marijuana moment. Defense Department warns that hemp granola and CBD hand sanitizer can compromise military readiness.
What?
Now, okay, serious, I smoking cannabis and shooting off guns isn't the right thing to do.
Nope.
But how somebody gonna get stoned on hand sanitizer and make them not ready for
No way.
military readiness?
The Department of Defense is yet again reminding service members that they're prohibited from using cannabis products, expressing concern that even using CBD-infused hand sanitizer or hemp granola could inadvertently compromise military readiness.
So you're eating hemp seed gonna affect your military readiness?
Right.
Okay.
I know, I'm shocked too.
It's unclear why military branches have felt the need to issue so many reminders about DoD's cannabis policy over the years, a trend that picked up significantly after hemp and its derivatives were federally legalized under the 2018 Farm Bill. But on Monday, the Air Force Martel Command Health and Wellness Team published yet another notice.
I'm very confused. The division explained that cannabis remains federally illegal as a Schedule I controlled substance, and so service members cannot use it regardless of state law, saying hemp and its components like CBD might be federally legal and widely available in state markets across the country, but that those products are unregulated by the Food and Drug Administration, so there's a risk they contain more THC than indicated on labeling.
Oh. Blame
But
the
even if
labeling.
that's the case, it's if you use it as a topical, it's not passing the blood barrier. It's not entering
Exactly.
into your body, so you're finding intoxication through anything that you're putting on top of your skin.
Exactly. Just
No.
it doesn't make sense
No.
whatsoever. Like that way,
Nope,
topicals.
it doesn't. They're
Prevent.
scaring people for no reason.
Exactly.
Silly.
Exactly. Yeah. The division explained that cannabis remains federally legal and controlled substance. We already went through that. The DoD service level policies prohibit service members from eating and using products made or derived from hemp to include CBD, no matter the claimed or actual THC levels, the notice says. The policy is necessary to ensure military readiness while securing the reliability and integrity of the drug testing program.
What? Now, the notice, it lists various examples of banned items if they contain hemp derivatives like CBD, gummies, oils, acne treatments, bath bombs, hemp granola, protein powder, yogurt, shampoo, and hand sanitizer. So if you're using hemp shampoo, that's banned if you're in the military. What?
Yeah. And yeah, shampoo. You're gonna get.
Oh my goodness.
That's gonna.
I wish I could get high from my shampoo. Where's that kind of shampoo?
Where's
Let's get some of that in here. Oh my goodness. Come on.
Yeah, that's a little bit. It's a little bit far-reaching.
Really?
I don't know if anybody's getting stoned off of hemp seeds or anything either.
Or granola.
Granola. That's right. Let's see. In the latest notice, it says that there are resources available to service members and their families whose lives are negatively affected by cannabis use and are seeking treatment.
They are negatively affected by their shampoo and hand sanitizer?
Shampoo, hand sanitizer. That's right. You know,
Mm,
stuff's strong.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. This is a very interesting article.
Do you want to continue with this?
No,
Keep
I do
going?
not want to continue this article.
It's
Goodness.
yeah, you know, I can completely understand. Like we've done this story of what happened here in Canada.
Right.
When those brownies got to the guys and they were doing
Absolutely.
they're out there doing live ammunition
Yep.
drills.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. We followed that
And-
whole story, and she deserves jail time. That woman that put cannabis unbeknown to the military that were working, and they were doing live rounds of shooting, and they didn't know they were getting high from these cupcakes. So she was convicted. I can't remember her name,
Yeah,
Colonel
yeah.
something, or I can't remember her name, officer. But I think she was court-martialed, and I don't think she spent a lot of time in jail. But that's the
Yeah.
kind of thing that's bad. Not using shampoo in the army. No.
Yeah, there's a big difference between
Big time.
edibles and shampoos or hand
My
sanitizer.
goodness.
Wow. All right, on to our next story. This one's Kelly. I thought you may be interested in this, being that you're involved in tourism, because cannabis-friendly hotels target high-end travelers, according to Travel Weekly.
Oh, I like this one. Though the cannabis legalization movement in the US has spawned plenty of bud and breakfasts and weed-friendly budget hotels, a handful of boutique hoteliers are targeting the high-end cannabis traveler. No pun intended.
Expansion at the sector's more premium end comes as the number of Americans interested in cannabis-related travel has swelled. I think they've been interested. They've been going to Jamaica all this time. According to Brian Applegraph, founder of the Cannabis Travel Association and Cultivar Brands, a strategic marketing agency specializing in the cannabis industry.
Now, in early 2020, just prior to the pandemic, Cultivar partnered with MMGY Travel Intelligence to analyze the burgeoning cannabis traveler segment. And they discovered that 29% of all active leisure travelers in the US could be identified as being part of the growing cannabis-motivated travel audience. Absolutely. I thought it would be more than that.
Well, findings from a recent pandemic-era survey released this summer indicate that the size of the audience has increased to 37%. all active leisure travelers, with Gen Z and millennial travels in particular reporting overwhelming interest in engaging in at least one cannabis-related activity while on vacation.
Love it. Love it.
And when they went to Jamaica, they wanted to go see the gardens.
Right. And then went to Amsterdam to go to the hash bars. So now they're going to come to
Yeah,
Canada and the US
exactly.
to go to their high-end hotels.
Maybe.
Right. There's also the sophisticated kind of connoisseur that's emerging. And the data shows if you look at the median and mean household incomes, the cannabis interest audience has a very compelling profile when it comes to disposable income. Ooh, give it to me.
The trend is being led by properties in California, both on an early adopter of relaxed cannabis laws and the nation's top grower of cannabis. Among the handful of hospitality players, they're seeking to offer more elevated cannabis experiences at Humboldt Special, which operates several businesses, including its Oyster Beach Bayfront Resort vacation rentals, 4-room Humboldt Bay Social Club Hotel, Papa and Barclay Social Dispensary and Spa, and more.
Oh my goodness, that sounds wonderful. Now, just over a year ago, Humboldt Social debuted a second hotel concept. It's a 22-room Scotia Lodge. It's located near Redwood State Park in Scotia, California. The property, which plays in the 4-star space, is open to working with advisor, lacks any obvious related theming. Instead, the hotel fosters a weed-friendly environment through amenities like cannabis delivery menu, an outdoor smoking area accessible to hotel and restaurant guests. Indoors, smoking of any kind isn't allowed, but guests are encouraged to enjoy cannabis edibles or tinctures in their room.
There you go.
Yeah.
Some of the companies doing cannabis hospitalities, they say, are just saying, hey, bring your own cannabis. We're cannabis-friendly. Or other places are getting little bud and breakfast licenses and have bongs in the lobby, according to John O'Connor. He says, we want to be supportive of the customer, but we also want to be a place where their aunt and grandma could come and stay too.
So everybody needs a bong. Humboldt Social is eyeing further expansion in the hospitality space for the coming year. According to O'Connor, the company is currently in talks with hotels in Southern California market, finalizing negotiations to oversee food and beverage dispensary, smoking area, and cannabis-infused spa operations at other properties.
They say our version of cannabis hospitality is Napa 2.0. If you went to the Napa Valley many years ago, it was a tacky bed and breakfast with wine, wallpaper. Now it's a world-class resort. And we envision that's what Humboldt County could be post-national legalization.
Of course it could be. That's wonderful. Have you heard of the Mary Jane Manor in Alberta, in our country?
Yes, I have.
It sounds like something like what they're doing out, what Serena Donovan's doing out there. They have a licensed LP, then they have a retail shop, and it's attached to their mansion, their Mary Jane Mansion. So it's all the whole tourism. It sounds like that's what they're doing down here in Humboldt.
Yeah, like, are you hearing anything like in here in Ontario?
Not yet. But fingers crossed soon. I know. I'm going to go build it right now. You've inspired me. I'm going to go right now. All right. They just said there was lots of disposable income for millennials, so I think that we need that. Yeah.
We need it. Exactly.
It's on our way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There we go. Wrap that one up. So it's good to see. It's growing, right?
It's a trend and it's going. And cannabis tourism was not affected by COVID the way everything else was because it just didn't start. It didn't really. Right? So it doesn't have that bad changing taste in our mouth the way a lot of cannabis does right now. Cannabis industry is really, on the decline. Fire and Flower just lost a bunch of stores. LPs are going under. We're losing stores all the time. But cannabis tourism never really got started. So it's nice to see we're having these conversations.
Exactly. All right. Here we go on to our next story. This was from the Gleaner. Grange, disappointed. Rastafarians not fully benefiting from the cannabis industry.
I love this article. I love what we're talking about this. Yeah. It's the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports. Her name is Olivia Grange, and she has expressed disappointment that Rastafarians are not adequately benefiting from Jamaica's cannabis industry.
She made her disappointment known at Friday's staging of the CanX Business Conference and Expo, held at the Montego Bay Convention Center in St. James, and attended by local and international farmers and manufacturers of cannabis byproducts.
Now, according to the culture minister, accolades must be given to the Rastafarian movement for cultivating, safeguarding, and preserving cannabis for its cultural, medicinal, and therapeutic uses.
In seeking to preserve, safeguard cannabis, which has now morphed into a global multi-billion-dollar industry, many members of the Rastafarian community suffered harsh retaliation for promoting an activity which was illegal.
Bravo, bravo. They were treated like they'll take your heart out. They're so bad. They're those bad people. They live in the bush. They must be stopped.
Yeah.
That's the way that they were treated. Rastafarians, meanwhile, they're the ones that were growing cannabis. They're the ones that were speaking of it and held strong to their beliefs. And now everybody's like, oh, we like cannabis now. Let's be nice to them. Oh.
It's like how we talk about in some of the states, giving back to the communities that were affected by the cannabis laws,
Racially marginalized, right?
And this is basically the same thing. These people were marginalized over their cannabis use.
100%. And they're the ones that know about it, that land race, the experts that were growing and keeping the plant going and cultivating all over these generations when it was so prohibited all over the world. So they should be.
Exactly. All right, continue.
My ministry, the Ministry of Culture, is the focal point for Rasta, and we are not satisfied that the Rastafari community is benefiting from all of this, Grange said, of the country's cannabis industry. I love her.
Yeah. This is the substance of reparation. They suffered for it. Whatever we do, we must repair the damage by making sure they also benefit from the fruits of their labor. She noted that the exclusion of the Rastafarian community is taking place even after significant amendments in 2015 to the Dangerous Drug Act.
Quoted as saying, 7 years after the amendments to the Dangerous Drugs Act, we are still struggling to establish a solid, thriving, globally acclaimed cannabis industry in Jamaica, which would bring revenues to households, companies, and the government. Absolutely, it would. Let's get on that. They deserve it. Anywhere in the world, right? Jamaica, they're known for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well known. We're talking about cannabis industry there, and I say, well, people are liking that, and they're heading to Jamaica all these years, or how you mentioned Amsterdam, right?
Right.
And
and the people that were keeping the industry flowing, the people that were providing that cannabis down there, are not getting what they should for it. So I'm so glad they have a fighter recognizing that. That's beautiful.
And somebody within the government.
Exactly. And a woman. I love her.
All right, you know what time it is? It's that time. That's right. It's time for our Mushie moment where we talk about something on the psychedelic end. And today, we're talking about the Native American church leaders asked Congress for funds to support peyote cultivation and preservation, according to the Marijuana Moment.
That's it right there. The picture is actually of peyote, of the peyote plant. Isn't that incredible to look at? It says leaders of the Native American Church of North America have held multiple meetings with congressional offices this week to advocate that federal funding be dedicated towards efforts to preserve habitats where the peyote can be grown.
The psychedelic cacti is used in religious ceremonies that are already federally protected. But it simply is limited, and NACNA members are asking for assistance to ensure it can remain available for generations to come.
Wonderful. Well, peyote is a Schedule 1 controlled substance. The church has been permitted to cultivate, harvest, and use the cacti under a 1994 amendment to the American Indian Religious Freedom Act. Now, the primary peyote habitat is located near the U.S.-Mexico border in Texas, and the NACNA is seeking $5 million in U.S. Department of Agriculture or Interior Department funding to conserve the ceremonial medicine.
This has become especially necessary as climate change and unsustainable agriculture practices have threatened peyote conservation efforts. Some Indian leaders have also voiced concerns about increased non-native peyote use amid the psychedelics decriminalization movement in recent years.
Peyote is a uniquely vulnerable crop as it takes over 10 years for a cactus to mature
Wow.
and start flowering. And to that end, NACNA is asking for Congress to step up with that aid. I tried to grow it once, Al. I kept it for 2 years and then I killed it. It's so hard. It's so hard to keep alive. So that needs to be protected here. It really does.
It does. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Specifically, church leaders and the National Congress of American Indians are lobbying lawmakers to allocate $5 million in funding from USDA's Conservative Research Reserve Program or Interior's Office of the Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs to provide compensation to landowners who agreed to convert their property to protect peyote habitats.
The church is also asking for the establishment of an advisory committee comprised of tribal, state, and federal representatives, as well as private landowners to support the continued long-term conservation of the psychedelic cacti. And that's according to the Native News Online, which first reported on the lobbying push.
Yeah. On Facebook, the NACNA shared a list of members that are scheduled congressional staff for Thursday. Leaders secured meetings to discuss the issue and funding requests with staff of more than a dozen offices for individual lawmakers and committees.
Cool. This included meetings with the officers, with some senators here. Members also erected a teepee on the grounds of the National Mall to help draw attention to the issue. Wow, good for them, which is gaining more mainstream interest as cities and states across the country move to decriminalize psychedelics and promote research into the therapeutic potential of a variety of these substances. Look at that, Al.
Yeah.
They're pushing for it, and they should. This is their sacrament. This is their spiritual sacrament, and they deserve
it's like
to
the
have it.
Rastafarians.
Absolutely, and it needs to be protected for them. This is what they use.
They say that prayers and songs will be offered offered that our heartfelt words in the meetings with officials will be taken into consideration when decisions are made about the conservative and preservative of the holy sacraments and habitat. Well, there you go, right there, as you mentioned.
And that's the thing, is that they need to protect this. These are these people's. They're not doing it to cultivate it and sell peyote chocolate bars or anything like that. This is really, truly what they believe is their religious or their spiritual practices. So it needs to be protected, I think.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the specific topic of peyote has created some tension between advocacy and Native communities. Some lawmakers and activists have a revised psychedelics reform proposal to account for sustainability concerns from Indigenous groups who use peyote-derived mescaline for religious ceremonies. So here we go again, mentioning the religious ceremonies and how important it is to them.
Yep. Last year, the Santa Cruz City Council amended a psychedelics policy to remove peyote from the list of plants and fungi that have been effectively decriminalized due to those concerns, for example. So they removed it from the decriminalization.
See? Other advocates have pushed for decriminalizing only the synthetic mescaline, while preserving non-Indigenous criminalization for the peyote-derived psychedelic to ensure that the Native American supply is not further disrupted. Well, whatever we need to do, but really just let them decide over themselves. This is their own choices, right? That's their religious sacrament.
It's their sacrament,
right?
You know?
Do we do anything about the wine in the Catholic Church?
No.
Right? Don't bother them. Leave them alone.
Oh, no.
Right?
No. Exactly. Yes. Well, there you go. We've got our 10 stories in.
Yes. Great mushy moment there.
Yes. Yeah, it's been a long time since I even said the word peyote. Quite a long
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I first heard about it when I became obsessed with Jim Morrison around the age of 13 years old, because the Doors were really known for speaking about peyote and how it opened them up, and they were able to write and perform better because of the peyote. And they really followed a lot of indigenous perspectives in their music and their words. So that's when I heard about it, and I always thought, I need to do that. I need to be like Jim Morrison. I've never tried it.
never
Maybe
tried
one
it.
day.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's been, I'm going to say probably since like around 2008.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Oh, I see the cat's knocking on the door. All right. Well, I better go. Shows we're done. Anything you want to mention before we go?
I'm just so happy to be here, and I'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Well, that's a Reefer report for September the 19th, 2022, and from the Legacy420.com news desk. Thanks to our buds at BMA Hydroponics, Dr. Buck, CTS.com, Legacy420.com, and the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. And don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
Oh, yeah, baby. That's lovely.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. Visit our hydroponics superstore at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville, and we'll show you how to grow your own quality cannabis for pennies per gram. We're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 613-967-9888. BMA Hydroponics. It's worth the drive.
The only way to go.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.